Hello and welcome to Starbound's second channel. My name is Gabriel the Bibi Capaldi and I'll be your narrator today. But before we get into today's story, please do check down below that you are subscribed to the channel. It's 100% free and helps us pop up on your feed a bit more often. Facing a ninja was a non-existent fear in the Agdorian's mind. Such primitive human concepts weren't even worth considering by a species that had conquered 2 star systems and subjugated 3 alien civilizations. The concept of Earth's shadow warriors remained buried in intelligence reports the admirals never expected to read, filed away as cultural curiosities rather than tactical threats. The Agdorian Hall of Decision absorbed light like a hungry predator. 3 figures stood around the central observation globe, their features cast in sharp relief by the harsh white lighting. Admiral Zidar's mottled grey-blue skin stretched over his towering 2-meter frame, the pronounced ridges on his face darkening with concentration. His completely black eyes, devoid of iris or pupil, reflected the rotating image of Earth, while the diagonal scar running from his left eye ridge to his jawline tensed slightly with each calculated thought. Beside him, Admiral Halar's shorter but powerfully built form shifted impatiently, his broad shoulders moving under his ceremonial armor, the missing 2 fingers on his left hand, a battle trophy he wore proudly, drummed an irregular rhythm against the dark metal table. Admiral Lodir completed the trio. His unusually smooth skin, a mark of noble Agdorian birth, was slightly darker than the others. "This primitive world hardly seems worth our time," Admiral Halar said, his broad shoulders shifting impatiently. "Look at them, squabbling over resources, fragmenting into competing power blocks. They can barely maintain their orbital platforms. Yet their advancement trajectory is concerning," Admiral Lodir interjected, adjusting the ceremonial jewelry embedded in his wrists. "We should not dismiss this variable as a threat vector." Zidar manipulated the controls embedded in the circular platform that surrounded the observation globe. The image of Earth transformed into a data projection. 3 standard cycles ago, humans learned how to mine resources in their asteroid belt. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Lodir's fingers tightened on his armrest. "Hard to believe," Halar growled. "Our surveys indicated they can barely go to space." "Our surveys were evidently flawed," Zidir replied evenly. "More concerning than their skill to reach space is their extraction methodology." He expanded a section of the display, showing automated mining equipment harvesting metallic formations from an asteroid's interior. "Their fully automated systems operate 30% quicker than our current methods." Lodir leaned forward, his political instincts immediately recognizing the implications. "This would devastate our position within 2 decades. "Precisely," Zidar nodded. "I've prepared market projections." The globe shifted again, displaying economic models that painted a catastrophic future. Red indicators spread across the Agdorian territories like a disease. "A 60% drop in value," Lodir murmured, his smooth diplomat's voice faltering for a moment. "The imperial court would collapse." Halar slammed his fist on the table. "We crush them now. A single fleet could reduce their orbital installations to debris." "The Galactic Council would not look favorably on open warfare against a developmental species," Lodir cautioned. "Also, don't expect the war to be easy. You wouldn't believe how much they spend on military technology." "There are more subtle approaches," Zidar interrupted, his scar darkening as he frowned. "Targeted elimination of key leadership and scientists would set them back decades." Lodir's expression shifted from concern to calculation. "The Emperor might approve of such a measure, provided it remains untraceable." "Show me their defenses," Halar demanded. Zidar's long fingers touched the controls, bringing up intelligence reports on Earth's security systems and power structures. The three admirals fell silent as they reviewed the information. Detailed dossiers on Earth's nations, military capabilities, and technical development.
"Their political structure is unwielding," Lodir observed. "This United Nations appears to be their unified government, but it lacks centralized authority."
Halar snorted. "Look at these documentaries they broadcast. Their elite warriors wear colorful costumes and operate with no command structure."
"Superheroes,"
Zidar clarified.
"According to preliminary cultural analysis, Earth relies heavily on these exceptional individuals for defense. Likely an exaggeration."
"Individuals can be defeated," Halar continued, examining technical specifications displayed on the globe's surface. "Our stealth technology would be completely invisible to their sensors."
"Then we have an agreement."
Zidar looked between his colleagues.
"Targeted assassinations rather than open conflict."
Both admirals nodded, though Lodir added,
"The targets must be chosen carefully." "I've prepared a preliminary list,"
Zidar said, bringing up profiles of humans on the observation globe.
"The leaders of their 7 largest nations, and the 12 leading scientists in automation processes for mining technology."
Half an hour later, they had agreed on the plan, but not on the fine details.
"Who would carry out such a mission?"
Lodir asked.
"This requires our most elite operative."
Halar's eyes narrowed. "Mortis, the Emperor's personal assassin. He's never failed a mission before." A silence fell over the chamber. Using the Emperor's assassin was unprecedented for a preemptive strike.
"Requesting Mortis requires Imperial permission,"
Lodir said cautiously, touching the observation globe and showing them all the bureaucracy they would need to face.
"The economic threat justifies exceptional measures,"
Zidar replied.
"I believe the Emperor will see the necessity and act quickly."
They drafted the request together, carefully highlighting the economic threat while downplaying the risk of detection. As they finalized the document, the chamber doors slid open. A servant entered and bowed deeply.
"Admirals,"
the servant said, his voice echoing in the vast space,
"the Emperor sends his response."
Halar frowned.
"Already? We haven't yet." "His Imperial Majesty was monitoring your discussion remotely," the servant explained. "He anticipated your request and has pre-approved the deployment of Mortis for this mission. He is very happy with your assessment of humanity."
The servant placed a sealed data crystal on the table and withdrew. The three admirals exchanged a long look. The Emperor's swift approval carried implications. Either he shared their assessment of the threat, or he had his own reasons for wanting Earth's leadership eliminated. Zidar activated the crystal, displaying the mission parameters. Targets: the leaders of the 7 largest Earth nations and the 12 leading scientists in automation processes for mining technology. Timeline: 1 week for complete elimination. Method: silent, untraceable deaths that appear natural or accidental. Cover: complete deniability.
"The orders will be transmitted to Mortis immediately,"
Zidar confirmed, encrypting the data package. The observation globe shifted once more, and, hours later, it already displayed a sleek vessel approaching Earth's orbit. The craft, matte black and barely visible even against the darkness of space, adjusted its course towards the Sol system.
"Mortis's stealth vessel is already positioned near the target system,"
Halar observed with satisfaction.
"The humans won't even know what hit them."
"I've scheduled our next meeting in 1 week,"
Lodir said, rising from his seat.
"By then, the mission should be complete, and we can begin implementing containment measures for the inevitable political destabilization."
Zidar nodded, but as he studied the small blue planet rotating in the observation globe, an unfamiliar sensation prickled at the base of his skull. The intelligence reports were comprehensive, yet something felt incomplete.
Humans had shown remarkable skill throughout their brief history. Could they resist this? He dismissed the thought. No species had ever detected Mortis, let alone stopped him. The assassin's record was perfect across 17 major operations.
"Until next week, then,"
Zidar said, following his colleagues towards the chamber exit. As they reached the doorway, the image in the observation globe changed, showing Mortis's vessel entering Earth's orbit. A transmission indicator blinked on the console.
"A message from Mortis,"
Zidar announced, activating the communication. A modulated voice filled the chamber.
Entering target atmosphere. Preliminary scans confirm our intelligence. These primitives lack even basic detection capability. This will be the simplest mission yet.
The transmission ended, and the three admirals departed from the Hall of Decision, satisfied that Earth's technological threat would soon be eliminated. Behind them, the observation globe continued to display the small blue planet, still turning, still unaware of what was coming. Or so they believed. The Agdorian Hall of Decision felt colder than it had a week before. The same dark chamber that had hosted confident planning now harbored an atmosphere of tense uncertainty. The observation globe at the center now displayed only static, a visual representation of the silence that had fallen over the mission. Admiral Zidar entered the hall precisely on schedule, finding his colleagues already seated, their postures rigid with concern. The two admirals had moved closer together at the decision table, as if proximity might protect them from an unseen threat.
"A report?"
Lodir demanded, forgoing the usual formalities. Zidar's facial ridges darkened as he manipulated the controls of the observation globe.
"All communications with Mortis ceased approximately 6 standard hours after planetary insertion. The final transmission indicated preparations for the first elimination. Unsuccessful mission in all likelihood."
"Equipment failure?" Halar suggested, but his voice lacked conviction.
"I've run analysis on all reports,"
Zidar replied.
"The stealth vessel's transmission has ceased from all detection grids. I cannot locate it anywhere in Earth's vicinity."
Halar slammed his fist against the table, the impact echoing through the chamber.
Impossible! These primitives couldn't possibly have detected our stealth technology, let alone neutralized Mortis.
"Perhaps it was operator error?"
Lodir suggested, his smooth diplomatic tone at odds with the tension in his posture.
"Mortis may have disabled communications for tactical reasons."
Zidar gestured towards the observation globe, which now displayed multiple small windows showing human news broadcasts.
"All targeted individuals remain alive and unharmed. Not one assassination has been carried out."
He paused, allowing the implications to sink in.
"The mission has failed."
The silence that followed was profound. Mortis had never failed. In 17 operations across multiple star systems, the assassin's record was perfect. The concept of failure was so foreign that none of the admirals had considered contingency plans.
"Show me the data,"
Lodir finally said, eyes narrowing. Zidir manipulated the controls, and the observation globe shifted to display cultural data about Earth.
"My preliminary analysis suggests we may have underestimated certain aspects of human society."
The globe displayed images of human entertainment media, specifically focusing on various depictions of stealthy warriors in dark clothing.
"Humans have an entire cultural archetype dedicated to assassination and stealth combat,"
Zidar explained.
"They call them ninjas. While some of our intelligence classified these as fictional characters, there are indications that humans may have operational units trained in these methodologies. Perhaps they have developed countermeasures against stealth."
Halar dismissed this with a wave of his hand.
Entertainment fantasies. You're suggesting Mortis was defeated by fictional characters.
"I'm suggesting,"
Zidar replied carefully,
"that our intelligence on human defensive ways may have been incomplete, and it still is."
"This is absurd,"
Halar growled. Mortis is the Emperor's personal assassin, trained in 17 forms of silent killing. No primitive human defense could have detected him, let alone neutralized him.
Yet here we are, Lodir observed quietly, with no communication and no successful eliminations.
Halar stood abruptly. I refuse to believe humans are responsible. The failure must lie with Mortis himself. Perhaps the Emperor's trust was misplaced.
We should reconsider our approach, Lodir suggested. Perhaps target the scientists first, then the political leaders once the technological threat is neutralized. Agreed, Zidar said. I'll gather more intelligence on Earth's defensive systems. We should reassess in 3 days.
As the meeting concluded and they prepared to leave the hall, Zidar noticed subtle differences in their security protocols. Guards were positioned differently than usual, and new scanning procedures had been implemented at the exits.
Increased security?
He asked casually. Halar shrugged. I've doubled my personnel detail, routine precautions after attacking other planets.
These are uncertain times, Lodir added. I suggest we meet again tomorrow evening here in the hall. The secure environs allow for greater privacy.
They separated at the hall's entrance, each departing with their personal security teams. As Zidar walked towards his private transport, he glanced back at the Hall of Decision. For the briefest moment, he felt as though something watched from the shadows within, a sensation so foreign that he dismissed it immediately as stress-induced paranoia. Sleep failed Zidar that night, and the Hall of Decision was his solution. It was designed to be impenetrable, both physically and electronically. As he returned well after midnight, using his intelligence clearance to bypass the night protocols, he appreciated the absolute silence of the vast chamber. The observation globe activated at his approach, its soft blue light casting long and dark shadows across the obsidian floor. He worked methodically, using his intelligence clearance to access new data feeds about Earth that weren't available during the official meeting. The globe displayed obscure information, historical records, cultural analyses, technological assessments that painted a more complex picture of human capabilities than the preliminary version presented to the admirals. The discrepancies in the intelligence reports were subtle but significant. Humans were more advanced in certain technologies than previously believed, particularly in areas related to stealth detection and counter-infiltration measures. Their military structures were far more sophisticated than the chaotic systems described in the official reports. A soft alert chimed from the decision table's monitoring system. Zidar glanced at the notification. Missing security person in the building's exterior. He activated the security feeds, scanning the corridors outside. Nothing appeared unusual, yet the sensors continued to register anomalous readings. He sent a command to the security team to investigate, continuing his research while awaiting their report. Minutes later, the response came. Nothing found. All systems normal. Zidar made a note of the incident but returned to his work. Yet, as the hours passed, he found himself occasionally glancing over his shoulder, unable to shake the sensation of being observed despite being alone in the sealed chamber. His secure communication device chimed, an unusual occurrence at this hour. The message originated from Lodir's assistant, marked with emergency priority. Zidar opened it immediately, the content causing his facial ridges to darken with shock. Admiral Halar has been found dead in his residence. Zidar brought up Halar's estate on the observation globe, accessing the security feeds to see teams of investigators swarming the scene. The initial assessment described a precision weapon that left no trace except a small puncture wound at the base of the skull. Death had been instantaneous, bypassing Halar's considerable personal security.
Political assassination?
Zidar murmured to himself. Halar had many enemies within the military hierarchy, officers who resented his aggressive tactics and rapid advancement. His death, while shocking, wasn't entirely surprising in the cutthroat environment of Agdorian politics. He instructed security to conduct a thorough investigation, but didn't immediately connect the incident to the Earth situation. Instead, he decided to remain in the hall, feeling safer within its secured environment than returning to his own residence. Fatigue began to overtake him as he continued reviewing Earth data. His eyes grew heavy, the observation globe's glow becoming hypnotic as the hours passed. He was nearly dozing when another alert jolted him back to full awareness. Another emergency communication, this time from Imperial security. Admiral Lodir has also been found dead in his estate. The circumstances were nearly identical to Halar's death, a precision strike to the base of the skull, leaving barely a trace. What made Lodir's death particularly alarming was the sophistication of his estate's security system, considering the most advanced outside the Imperial Palace itself. The security footage showed nothing. No intruder, no disturbance, not even a momentary glitch in the surveillance system. One moment Lodir had been alive, reviewing documents in his private study. The next, he collapsed, dead before his body hit the floor. True alarm began to course through Zidar's system. One admiral's death could be attributed to political rivalry, but two, in identical fashion, within hours of each other, this was something else entirely. Recognition dawned slowly. Then, with crushing intensity, the pattern was unmistakable. The precision, the stealth, the complete circumvention of security systems. This was the work of an elite assassin. Zidar activated all security protocols within the Hall of Decision, sealing himself inside what should have been the most secure location in the Agdorian capital. Emergency security was everywhere, and hidden weapon systems emerged from concealed compartments in the walls. Alone in the secured chamber, Zidar frantically assessed the intelligence databases, searching for any information on Earth's assassination capabilities. The observation globe filled with images and data as he refined his search, focusing on human special operations and covert warfare methodologies. Amid the flood of information, one term appeared repeatedly in reference materials about Earth culture: ninja. The word had appeared in the cultural briefings, but had been dismissed as entertainment fantasy, fictional warriors with impossible abilities. Yet here it was again, recurring in military analyses and historical documents with unusual frequency. Zidar cross-referenced ninja with known human military capabilities, finding disturbing correlations between the fictional portrayal and actual special operations units from several Earth nations. The gulf between fantasy and reality seemed to blur the more he researched. As dawnlight began to cross through the high windows of the hall, Zidar became increasingly convinced of a terrible truth. Earth had somehow detected their assassination attempt, and had responded in kind, sending their own elite killer to eliminate those responsible for the decision. He began preparing a presentation on the observation globe for the emergency council meeting he would summon, knowing his theory would sound fantastic, but seeing no other explanation that fit the evidence. 2 admirals dead in identical fashion, with no trace of the killer. The signature of a highly trained assassin with technology that even Agdorian security couldn't detect. The concept of a human ninja operating on Agdorian soil seemed absurd, yet the evidence before him suggested the impossible had occurred. Dread settled in Zidar's stomach as he contemplated the implications. If Earth possessed both the technology to detect Mortis and the capability to send an assassin that could penetrate Agdorian security, then the entire assessment of human capabilities was catastrophically wrong. The emergency council meeting was scheduled for 2 hours hence. Zidar wondered if he would live to attend it. He activated his communication device, sending an immediate alert to the High Council security team. Potential infiltration of the central government complex. Unknown assassin, extremely dangerous. Implement maximum security protocols for all council members. The response came almost instantly. Security alert acknowledged. All council members are being moved to secure locations. High Council chamber being prepared with enhanced countermeasures. Your security team is en route to the Hall of Decision. Zidar stepped away from the observation globe, moving to the center of the chamber where visibility was best in all directions. His hand rested on his ceremonial sidearm, a gesture that felt futile against an enemy who had already eliminated 2 admirals in their most secure residences.
"I know you're here,"
he said aloud, his voice echoing in the vast space.
"I don't know how you've infiltrated our world, but I know why you've come."
Silence answered him. The shadows in the corners of the chamber seemed deeper than they should be, despite the brightening dawn light from the windows above.
"Your mission is logical,"
Zidar continued, turning slowly to survey the entire chamber.
"We targeted your leaders, so you eliminate those responsible for the decision. Classic counterintelligence doctrine."
A whisper of movement caught his attention, so subtle it might have been imagination. Zidar rotated toward it, weapon raised.
"The High Council is gathering,"
he said, louder now.
"They'll want to hear about Earth's response, about you, the ninja."
A sound, barely perceptible, from behind him. Zidar spun, but saw nothing.
"Your cultural documentation doesn't do justice to your actual capabilities,"
he continued, backing toward the decision table.
"We severely underestimated your technological level and your covert operations exercise."
His security team would arrive soon, if he could maintain the standoff until then. The lights in the Hall of Decision flickered momentarily, plunging the chamber into darkness for a fraction of a second. When they returned, nothing had visibly changed, leaving him staring at nothing. The High Council chamber dwarfed the Hall of Decision in both size and grandeur. Massive metal reliefs depicting the conquest of various worlds decorated the walls, illuminated by harsh lighting that cast no shadows. The chamber had been designed to inspire confidence and security. Today it failed at both. Armed guards stood at each entrance, more numerous than protocol demanded. Energy security robots hovered at strategic points, an unusual security measure for council meetings. The councillors themselves appeared tense, many having arrived with personal security details that now waited outside the chamber. Zidar surveyed the assembled High Council from his position near the central platform. 30 senior leaders representing various aspects of Agdorian society filled the ornate seats arranged in concentric circles. Military leaders wore ornate armor denoting their campaigns and victories. Scientific directors with modified cranial structures sat rigidly, their expanded brain capacity visible in their elongated skulls. Grand Councillor Zerax occupied the central position, ancient even by Agdorian standards. His pale, almost translucent skin stretched over a frame supported by an exoskeleton that kept him upright and amplified his weakened voice. His eyes, clouded with age but sharp with suspicion, fixed on Zidar as he approached.
"Admiral Zidar,"
Zerax's amplified voice carried through the chamber.
"The Council awaits your explanation for this emergency session."
Security Director Malk stood beside Zerax. Heavily modified with obvious cybernetic enhancements, his replacement arm housed various weapons and scanning tools that continuously probed the chamber.
"The security situation has been explained to the Council," he said. 2 admirals dead in circumstances that suggest high-level infiltration." "Not just infiltration,"
Zidar replied, taking his position on the central dais.
"Targeted assassination for those specifically involved in the Earth operation."
Murmurs rippled through the assembled councillors. Rumours had spread quickly about the deaths, but the connection to Earth was new information to many.
"Explain,"
demanded Zerax. Zidar activated the central observation globe, larger than the one in the Hall of Decision, but functionally identical.
1 week ago, Admirals Hala, Lodir, and I authorized a covert operation targeting Earth leaders and key scientists. The mission was assigned to Mortis."
The murmuring intensified. The Emperor's personal assassin being deployed against a primitive world was unprecedented.
"The mission failed,"
Zidar continued.
"All communication with Mortis ceased shortly after planetary insertion. No targets were eliminated."
Before Xerax could respond, a security alert chimed throughout the chamber. Malk's cybernetic arm reconfigured as he received data through his implants.
3 more high-ranking officials have been found dead,"
Malk announced, his voice clinically detached.
"Each killed with the same method as the admirals."
The chamber was consumed by whispers. Security teams moved to form protective rings around their assigned counselors. Weapons were drawn. Scanning systems activated across the chamber.
"Silence!"
Xerax's amplified voice cut through the noise.
"Admiral Zidar, your assessment."
Zidar attempted to calm his racing thoughts.
"The evidence suggests Earth has responded to our assassination attempts with their own operative."
He manipulated the observation globe, displaying various Earth entertainment media featuring ninjas, dark-clad warriors moving through shadows with impossible stealth.
"Based on my research into Earth's defensive capabilities, I believe they've deployed what they call a ninja, a specialized assassin trained in stealth tactics that our intelligence mistakenly classified as purely fictional."
Disbelief washed over the council members' faces.
You expect us to believe a primitive species has deployed an assassin capable of penetrating our most secure facilities?
A military counselor demanded.
"I've analyzed the evidence,"
Zidar replied steadily.
"Based on our misunderstood information, these ninjas appear to possess capabilities that include—"
The globe displayed annotated footage from Earth Entertainment.
"the ability to turn invisible at will,"
Zidar explained, showing a ninja vanishing into shadows.
"power to pass through solid walls."
The display showed another warrior seemingly materializing through a barrier.
"Capacity to kill with death touches that leave minimal external evidence."
A third clip showed a precise strike to a pressure point, causing instant death.
"This is absurd,"
a scientific director scoffed.
"These are entertainment fabrications, not military capabilities." "Yet 5 Agdorian officials are dead,"
Zidar countered.
"each killed with methods consistent with these supposed fictional abilities."
The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Skepticism battled with the undeniable evidence of the deaths. Various councillors began offering their own interpretations based on equally flawed intelligence.
Our cultural analysts suggest it could be a Jedi Knight,
a military councillor insisted, activating his section of the globe to display images of robed warriors wielding energy weapons.
They possess mind control abilities that explain how they bypassed our security.
"Nonsense,"
an economic minister interjected. "Our trade intelligence indicates it's more likely a James Bond operative who uses technological gadgets to penetrate security." Each theory was based on media that Agdorians had captured and interpreted as actual human capabilities. Their debate grew increasingly absurd while maintaining a deadly serious tone. Zidar raised his hand, silencing the competing theories.
"Whether ninja, Jedi, or something else, the fact remains. Earth has responded to our aggression with an assassin. We must implement immediate countermeasures."
Security Director Mulk stepped forward, his cybernetic eye glowing as he projected defense plans onto the observation globe.
"I've already begun implementing counter-infiltration protocols,"
Mulk stated.
"Bright lights in all corridors to eliminate shadows where these ninjas might hide. Guards equipped with thermal vision to spot hidden assassins."
The countermeasures were a bizarre mixture of actual security technology and responses to assumptions about ninja abilities. Several counselors nodded approvingly, seemingly reassured by the concrete actions. As Malk explained the defensive plan, the lights in the chamber briefly flickered. Guards immediately moved to defensive positions, scanning the room with weapons raised. The council fell silent, tension thick enough to choke on. The chamber lights stabilized, but something felt off. Guards reported movement in the corridors outside, but security cameras showed nothing. "Complete lockdown," Malk ordered, activating all defensive systems with a gesture from his cybernetic arm. Reports flooded the communications system. Security personnel outside the chamber had been found dead, each with the same precise wound pattern as the Admiral's. Zidar realized with chilling clarity that the assassin had been eliminating everyone involved in the decision to target Earth. His gaze darted to the corners of the chamber, searching for any irregularity in the shadows. There, in the corner of the chamber, a shadow seemed to move independently of any light source. Guards noticed it simultaneously, firing energy weapons that passed through harmlessly. The shadow expanded, darkening a section of the wall completely. From this darkness emerged a figure in a form-fitting black suit that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Ninja!" someone screamed. Panic erupted as council members scrambled for the exits, only to find them sealed by the lockdown protocols. Security personnel formed a protective ring around the remaining councillors, but were quickly dispatched by the shadowy figure moving with impossible speed. Several councillors were taken down with precise strikes that barely disturbed their clothing, yet left them instantly dead.
"The ninja will kill me next!"
Zidar cried out as the black-suited figure approached with fluid steps. The figure halted at his words. With a certain slowness, it reached up and removed its helmet, revealing a human man with dark skin and closely cropped hair. "I am not a ninja," the man said in translated Agdorian language, his voice calm and matter-of-fact. "I'm a Special Forces soldier from Earth's United States military. The distinction is important." The surviving councillors froze, stunned into silence by both the perfect Agdorian speech and the absurdity of the correction. "Assuming I'm a ninja based on my abilities is both inaccurate and culturally insensitive to Japanese people," the human continued, as if delivering a lecture rather than standing in a room with dead and dying Agdorians around him.
What are you?
Grand Councillor Zerax managed to ask, his exoskeleton keeping him upright even as terror coursed through his ancient frame. The human gestured to his suit. "This is simply advanced adaptive camouflage technology, not magic or mystical powers." He glanced at a device on his wrist, appearing almost bored. "Anyway, back to killing you all. I've got 4 more targets to eliminate before breakfast." He casually raised a compact weapon that had materialized in his hand. The council members collectively gasped. Zerax raised his trembling hands in surrender.
"What does Earth demand in exchange for stopping the assassinations?"
The remaining councillors immediately began shouting increasingly generous offers.
"Complete withdrawal from all systems near Earth space, access to all Agdorian mining technology and exclusive rights to certain mineral-rich systems,
Delivery of advanced Agdorian weaponry and defensive systems,
a formal apology broadcast throughout the galaxy."
The human lowered his weapon slightly, looking somewhat bemused at the escalating offers. Zidar, seeing an opportunity, stepped forward cautiously.
"We could propose a formal alliance, one that would be tremendously advantageous to Earth."
The human sighed deeply, appearing almost disappointed at not getting to finish his mission. "My bosses might get mad if I don't inform them of these offers." He holstered his weapon with a fluid motion. "You should probably stop attempting mafia games and assassinations when you clearly suck at this. It will only end badly for you." Within hours, the surviving council members voted unanimously to accept Earth's terms without even fully reading them. A formal diplomatic delegation from Earth would arrive within 1 week to finalize the agreement. Before departing through the same shadow portal he had arrived through, the human paused beside a trembling guard.
"Stop calling me a ninja," he said with evident irritation. "It's not the same thing at all." As the human disappeared back into the darkness, this time with Agdorian permission to leave, Zidar contemplated how thoroughly they had underestimated humans. The council began preparations for the diplomatic meeting, ordering comprehensive research on actual human culture and capabilities. Zidar found himself tasked with the protection of the diplomatic team, having somehow shown the most accurate understanding of the situation. He made a personal note to learn the distinction between ninjas, special forces, and other human combat specialists before the Earth delegation arrived. Sometimes survival depended on the smallest details, like knowing when to surrender to a man in black who could kill you 17 different ways, but mostly annoyed by your poor grasp of Earth's cultural distinctions.